good. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see all of you here. Very happy to welcome you in this webinar where we bring industry and academia together and discuss how we can attract more girls into engineering. Georgia, you may go to the next slide. Thank you. Can we? Oh, yeah, there it goes. It was a bit slow here with me. So on behalf of the SEFI Special Interest Group Attractiveness, I really warmly welcome you all here. Just to introduce quickly who we are, what are we doing. We are one of the as you can see, many special interest group of SEFI. And we provide a dynamic platform, providing a space for different stakeholders, students, educators, researchers, industry professionals, as we are here today together, and everyone actually who's interested to share their ideas, best practices, research, and so on, to enhance attractiveness of engineering education. So if you want to know more what we do, you can find us on the website or through this QR code. To make it a bit more clear, in the next slide, Georgia, thank you. We define every year different actions, and these are the actions that we are working on this year. Just quickly, briefly go into it. If you have interest and want to know more, just let us know. First of all, we're working, almost finishing actually at this moment, a big study where we investigated the effectiveness of outreach interventions and specifically tailored to secondary education activities, how to enhance interest and attractiveness of engineering. There are a lot of good initiatives going on, and we now are investigating then how can we measure the impact of all these activities, when are they effective. What do we know about it, and how can we build in the future also activities based on the insights of this study? Another action that we are working on is investigation of, or more comparative study of, educational pathways into engineering. The context in different countries can be very different due to different educational systems, for example. So last year we did already a study between Belgium, Czech Republic and UK, and this year we are building on this study and enlarging the differences, but also the similarities and challenges, and see where we can work together. A third action is an expert study that zooms in on engineering core concepts used in secondary education, and what are the different concepts. Engineering is not always like a course in the secondary education programs. So what are core concepts that, for example, teachers are using? There was some small animation that should appear now. On these two actions, we are organizing also a workshop during the SEFI conference in September. So if you click Georgia, it will appear. Another thing that we will present on the SEFI conference in Tampere is first steps that we have been taking for the fourth action, that is designing or developing a framework of attractiveness, where we zoom in the different target groups who are stakeholders involved if we for example, organize outreach interventions in or out school activities. What are different factors to take into account, who are different actors that are involved, like the pupils itself, of course, but industry, teachers, parents, and so on. So the aim there is to define a framework that we can also see where are gaps, but also helps practitioners in organizing events, but also based on theory. So it's also a useful framework for researchers in the future. Fifth action is bringing people together. As I said, we're a dynamic platform. And this seminar is one of the activities. So I really would like to thank the colleagues that organized this: Susie Ye from Bentley, Elisabeth Hülse from Ansys, and Anja from EPFL. Myself, I'm Sofie Craps, by the way, co-chair of the SIG from Leuven, Belgium. So we were a nice team of industry and education or academics bringing together. And this is one of the outcomes at this webinar. And we will organize a second webinar in June. So if you're interested, follow us, and we let you know when the date is set, probably 4th of June, where we zoom in on engineering identity. So what can we do to strengthen identification with engineering? And then the last one is the work in progress, is to give our website an update with all the outcomes, interesting materials, and where we can find each other as well. So that's more than enough as an introduction of our SIG. Maybe before we start, if you go to the next slide, Georgia, thank you. You can always join our SIG. Quickly, some house rules, because I noted already in the chat that we ask to not enable AI transcriptions of these webinars. So people who activated it, please do deactivate it. To create a safe space, some participants are not very comfortable that has been done. The webinar will be recorded, as you can see, and may be available soon after today, so you can go and watch back. So we ask to disable the automatic AI transcriptions. Please try to mute your microphone unless you're speaking, of course, then you mute, and we encourage also that you take the floor later in this webinar. The use of camera is optional, so do what feels comfortable. We'd like to see you who is speaking, but no problem if you do not put on the camera. I will immediately give the floor to Georgia Kittou, but she will have a talk and then also introduce the panelists and have the conversation with our panelists. And then we'd like to have an open discussion afterwards. So please note your questions on paper or put them already in the chat. The chat will be moderated as well. And we will have an open discussions after the talk. If you see something appearing in the chat that you agree with or also would like to discuss, use the thumbs up button, and then we will discuss this after our very nice people who were invited here have been talking first. All right, then I will give the floor to Georgia. Let me quickly introduce Georgia. Georgia Kittou works at the University of Twente in the Netherlands. She's a math lecturer, also at the University College of Twente, a program that offers project-based interdisciplinary education. And she's a board member of the Women's Academic Network in Twente, a network dedicated to fostering supportive environment for female academics at the university. Her projects further are focused on enhancing the transition from secondary to higher education and improving educational practices, in particular the mathematics education, as it is her field. She leads the MINT group, the Mathematics Innovation in New Teaching, and she's also a moderator at a COLD, the Community of Learners in Twente, a collaborative community connecting high school teachers and university professors. So it is clear why Georgia was invited here today. She aims to create a supporting space for both high school and university students to address the challenges of transitioning to university, and attracting more female girls is one of them. So Georgia, I leave the floor, give the floor to you. So please, you can take over, and we are very interested to hear what you have to say today.
Thank you, Sofie. Thank you for the nice presentation as well. I couldn't say it better for myself, so it was really nice. So what do we expect to have in this webinar? So, of course, we would like to discuss some opportunities for girls in engineering education, highlight the importance of diversity in STEM, have some inspirational stories from industry from our three panelists, Frédérique, Phil, and Nayane. I'm going to introduce them later on in the presentation. Identify some ways to break down the barriers for girls, and of course, look forward to a future of improvement, empowerment, and innovation. So the first part will actually consist from high school to university, and then the second part with our panelists will focus from university to industry and to the job market. So to start with, what is the girls' participation in engineering programs? So I have shared here a graph. This is a global graph, and it shows actually the participation of female students both in STEM education, but also then as graduates in the job market. It is interesting to share that research shows that the girls' skills in math and science are actually comparable during high school years. And yet there is a significant gap that it is emerging when it comes to choosing STEM fields for higher education, especially in engineering disciplines. And as you can see from the graph that I am sharing here, we have women presenting about 20 to 30% of professionals in STEM, and 35% of students are STEM education graduates. So this is an improvement from the last decades, but it still reflects a significant underrepresentation of the fields that are typically male-dominated, particularly in mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and computer science. And despite the technological progress that we have in this century, the gender gap in engineering remains one of the largest in comparison to other fields like medicine or education. And what is also important to highlight here is that even though girls enter engineering degrees in increasing numbers, many leave the field in their early careers, and this is known in the literature as a leaky pipeline phenomenon. And what do we have identified in the literature when it comes to the challenges that girls are facing when pursuing engineering? They can be grouped into three categories. The first one, it's about the cultural and societal stereotypes. So engineering is traditionally viewed as a male-dominated field, and this perception is deeply rooted into historical and cultural norms. And from a very young age, kids are actually exposed to the societal perception that engineering is more suitable for men. And yeah, this is done through media portrayals, toys, advertising, and societal expectations. Boys are typically encouraged to engage more with technical or mechanical activities like building toys, Legos, robots, while girls are actually often steered towards nurturing toys or creative toys. And this, of course, has a great impact on the girls' self-perception and confidence. And for many young girls, this message actually creates a norm of what is appropriate or possible for them to pursue later on. The second group is about the lack of role models, the absence of women in leadership roles, both in educational settings, such as classroom and laboratories, and in the workforce, limits the number of mentors and inspirational figures for girls. And without these roles, girls might not actually consider of pursuing further engineering in their careers. And the last one is about the gender bias in education. There is an unconscious bias in the classroom, and this is felt both by peers or teachers. This is implicit bias, and it can create barriers, invisible barriers for opportunities and achievement for some students, especially for female students. And why is this topic actually important? So why do we care? Because if we address the gender gap in engineering, we can actually have progress, we can have a long-term development, we can shape the future generations, and we can unlock diverse perspectives and talents. And to be more precise, it creates equal opportunities, and it drives progress. And of course, with diverse teams, you have unique perspectives, You can have a creative and innovative solutions. You have different thinking styles and problem solving, let's say, minds working together. You have inclusive products and systems. This comes from maybe institutions, job markets, or even the society. And you can also have improved retention. So you actually help girls pursue engineering, finish their degrees, and actually stay in the job market. So this creates a more gender balanced workforce. And how can we actually encourage girls' success in STEM education? This is also taken from UNESCO, and they have actually identified that there are 4 levels, or there is a framework that we can actually help. And we have 4 individual levels. The first level starts at learners. So these are the girls. The second one is from family and peers. Then we have the school, and lastly, we have the society. So what do we expect to have at learners level? Well, it is important that girls are actually triggered and are encouraged to pursue STEM fields, to have a growth mindset, to actually take risks and believe in their abilities. And what is also important is to be able to connect girls with mentors in STEM fields. So these mentors can be other students that are currently studying. This can be different women that work in different fields of the industry. At the second level, when it comes to family and peers, it is important to provide a safe space where the girls can actually grow and support also the educational opportunities for girls, and address also gender stereotypes in the peer groups. At school level, it is important to integrate STEM curriculum and again create a safe environment where girls can actually express themselves, they can express their fears. They can be supported to choose further courses, maybe through their master degrees. They are pursued and encouraged to have a PhD. And the last level is at society. This is important, and I believe this is also one of the most important actually frameworks, because in society, it is important that we create visibility of women to promote female role models in engineering and technology, address the implicit bias, and of course, create an inclusive future. And something that I would like to share, so we have an event, it's called the Girls' Day in the Netherlands. This is an annual event where girls are actually invited to participate in some companies, girls from age 10 to 15. And they are actually invited to explore their careers in STEM education. It is organized by various organizations, including the VHTO. This is the Netherlands Expertise Center for Girls, Women, Science and Technology. And their motto is to fix the system and not the girls. I believe we have Stere in the audience. She's actually taking a part at the Girls' Day at the university. So maybe, Stere, will you be comfortable in sharing a few words about the event at the university? So you can unmute yourself.
Georgia.
Hello.
Yes. Thank you for talking about Girls' Day. Indeed, we have started at the University of Twente. We started in 2022 to join this national initiative, and also thinking what is our role as a university and how can we also collaborate with industry around us. And we figured indeed we need to get these girls into our university, let them see what it looks like if you want to come and study here. What could you potentially do with these studies, right? Because a lot of students don't always know very well what happens. So the previous years and also this year on the 10th of April, we will have a full day experience where we have female students from various high schools in the region that we operate in coming to us. And we start off the day with 2 or 3 workshops where we all come together and talk about what is the reason that we want more girls in STEM. We have a few potential role models to speak to them, women in STEM, and how they have set up their careers. And then after that, they go into separate workshops where they can learn things around, how does Google Maps really work, to creating your own micro lab, to a mini lecture on quantum technology. We did an intriguing world of liquid foods last year where the girls were able to make their own ice cream, which was very well received. This year, we're going to try making some bubble tea. We have, at the end of the day, also several tours in various laboratories around the university where they can participate in experiments and see hands-on what does it mean to come and do a study. And I think for us, it's really how do we create a fun and interesting way to connect them to this and inspire them to really discover the opportunities that are there. And I was also interested to see that the role of parents, because this year we also tried to see if we could get more parents involved of these young girls. And unfortunately, it didn't get as much traction as we had wanted. So we're rethinking how we could do that, because we also really believe, society, the parents you're with, your teachers have such a big role to play there as well. And also last thing, I don't know how it is in other places, but we have a few financial troubles as universities in the Netherlands and everything that's happening. We're having less students coming into our bachelor programs, and we also want to diversify our pool of students. And I think this is also a perfect way of doing so. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we will have time in the open discussion to discuss this further. Now let's move to part B. So this is about meeting our panelists. So today we have the pleasure of having 3 people from the industry. We have Frédérique Trouvé, we have Philippe Yves, and we have Nayane de Silva Fernandes. So I'm going to introduce them. So Frédérique is the founder and manager of the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile. So this is Women in Motorsport Commission. She's the founder and CEO of FTR. This is an agency specialized in sports development, marketing, and social responsibility. And she's also the head impact and development at STEM Racing and president of STEM Racing as well. So welcome, Frédérique. For Philippe, he's the Employment and Skills Coordinator at BAM Construct UK. He promotes social value and sustainability in construction projects. He actually won the National Social Value Award in 2023. And he facilitates students' placements, co-development projects like the 103 Colmore Row construction. Welcome, Phil. It's a pleasure to have you here. And last but not least, we have Nayane. So Nayane is R&D engineer in Ansys in France. She's actively participating in initiatives aimed at inspiring youth, especially girls, to pursue engineering careers. She served as a design and engineering judge at Formula One School France, STEM Racing at the national finals. So it's also a pleasure to have you here. So we have created 3 questions that we would like to address to each one of our panelists. So you can see the questions here. So the first question, it's for Frédérique. Based on your experience, what are the motivations for girls to consider engineering? You are muted.
Yeah, hi. You can hear me now?
Yes, clear.
Perfect. Okay, thank you for having me at this very interesting and panel of discussion around women engineering. I have to say that really, and also what I've heard is that motivating girls to consider engineering is also for me, everything is about dare. It's just like they have to dare that they can work in this environment. And I think the initiative that you just presented, mixing fun, then it's it's a real environment where you can have also mixity and you can work all together for being successful. I think it's very important, because this is something sometimes they are really just like worried about the context, the environment they will find in this kind of male dominated world, and but to see that more and more women just they are involved in engineering, it can also be, I think, a kind of good motivation to see that we have more and more inclusion and diversity in the engineering field.
Okay, thank you, Frédérique. And now, Phil, if you can also answer the same question. So based on your experience, what are the motivations for girls to consider engineering?
Hello, I'm Phil. I'm from BAM Construction, and I am quite old. I have 40 years experience in construction. And what I've noticed in the past few years is the increasing number of young women coming into our industry, which is great. And I think the motivation behind that is we're seeing a lot more of the right qualifications in the UK. The government have obviously experienced problems with trying to encourage girls to go into engineering, and what's happened is we've got a series of qualifications at post 16 which level the playing field a little bit. As an industry, we're desperate to get young women into construction, because I think the skill set for women is fantastic in construction. There is problem solving, communication issues with young males in construction. You never get emails from them, whereas females in construction seem to know that when they want to speak to each other, they use emails and can do it properly. So I think the twist to us is that we've seen a global increase in the numbers of applications from women into construction, which is great. The way that we do it in the company that I work for at the moment is that we've embraced the T-level qualifications, which is post-16 education all the way up to university. So it's like the stepping stone from school into our level 4 apprenticeship program in the UK. Where we can influence what's happening with trying to get young women into construction by using role models. That very issue that was raised earlier, we've got quite a lot of ex-T-level learners who are now apprentices within BAM, including Mia, who's on the call, who went through the engineering route. And what we've managed to do is, within house, is be able to offer different pathways for getting women into construction through civil engineering or through construction management. And even the civil engineering options include quantity surveying or accountancy, site management, project management, along with design, planning, and a whole load of careers which people probably don't associate with engineering into construction. So again, we're trying to get that message out there. We're trying to use our apprentices, and we've got a lot of existing staff who are women in construction, who are my role models, mentors, including Tony, who Mia works with, who she worked with on her 2-year program in the T-level, who's now her mentor on site while she's doing her apprenticeship. So I think trying to get more women into construction is definitely my mantra. And I think using the girls that have already come into the construction industry with BAM is my preferred option, because I think you can't beat somebody talking to somebody who's already done that qualification.
Thank you, Phil. Really interesting. And we have Nayane. She has also sent some notes. Nayane, floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you for the invitation. And I think the first and greatest motivation is that in engineering, you solve real-world problems. Engineering is not just about numbers and code. It's about making a real impact. Think about the technologies that improve sustainability, advance healthcare, or even make our daily lives easier. So engineers are the ones behind these innovations, turning ideas into reality. The second one, in my opinion, is that we have endless opportunities. Engineering is incredibly diverse. And whether you're interested in artificial intelligence, renewable energy, aerospace, or even software development, there's a place for girls. And the best part is You can shape your career based on what excites you the most. And the last one for me is diversity drives innovation. Women bring fresh perspectives and creativity to engineering. Studies show that diverse teams create better solutions. So, when we encourage more girls to join STEAM, we are making sure that the future of technology is designed for everyone. So, if you are curious, love problem solving, or just want to make a difference, engineering might just be the perfect path for you. So, for the girls.
Thank you. Thank you all for your answers. Just to remind, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and then we will have time in the open question session to actually address them. So let's proceed now to the second one. So the second question is, within your organization or through cross-organization collaborations, what best practices have been established to create effective programs to attract girls to consider engineering as a career? Again, I'm going to give the floor to first Frédérique, then Phil, and then Nayane. And Frédérique has shared a video for us. So I have to share my screen because the link is not working in the presentation. So if you can just give me 2 minutes, I will do my best. Okay. Yeah. So now you have to be able to see the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start the video. It's 1 minute and 13 seconds. And after the video, Frédérique, you can give us more information about it.
Yeah.
The excitement of racing is just the beginning. STEM racing offers so much more. This program goes beyond the excitement of competition. It inspires learning in STEM and builds essential life skills. Participants gain expertise in project management, marketing, teamwork, innovation, and communication. These skills are evaluated by a panel of judges from education and industry. Teams showcase their achievements by designing and racing their car, creating portfolios, and delivering dynamic project presentations. Open to students aged 9 to 19, STEM racing operates on a global scale. Teams advance through school, regional, and national competitions. Only the best secure a spot at the prestigious STEM Racing World Finals. STEM racing isn't just an activity, it's a life-changing experience. From developing critical life skills to launching careers in elite racing, it provides the perfect foundation for the high demands of top-level competition.
I'm going to stop sharing and come back to the presentation. Thank you, Frédérique, for the video. Would you like to say something about it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it was better for this kind of challenge to have some kind of image in order that you can really feel, the atmosphere and created by this kind of challenge. So this challenge, formerly named Formula One in Schools, exists since like more than 25 years now. This is the unique and exclusive educational challenge supported by Formula One. And teams are set up, so the teams are building up from 3 to 6 children, 6 kids. It's available very early age. You can start with the STEM projects at 6 years old, and you really start the challenge and the competitions from 9 years old until up to 19. And in France, we extended the program to university. So this is really a hands-on experience. You learn the technical skills, but also you learn how to work together through a team to achieve your project. So this program develops soft skills, because then you give confidence to the participants to be involved and to find and to have future career in STEM, the different STEM environment, and notably in motorsports, because the first goal of the program was really to democratize the motorsports and give the chance to anybody to access to motorsports, not to think about, of course, Formula One is a dream. It's a dream for the youth, is a dream for the new generation. All of them, most of them, they want to be the future drivers, but it's also for discovering all of the opportunities, the careers opportunities you can have in motorsports. So then each children, each member of team, they allocate a role. So one will be the engineer, the other one will be the communication director of the team, the third one will be the leader of the team. They have to create really their portfolio, their verbal presentation, because they will be evaluated by a very high expertise jury. Nayane, one was of the member of the jury in design engineering at the last World Finals. And now, I mean, this program exists in more than 65 countries. And this is really a concrete example and create a real pathway from the school, connecting with industry, and just finding an opportunity, career opportunity, just that brings you but you can have really that just with the program. And we have an amazing case study and amazing storytelling about some kids that started in the program as the communication manager, and most of the girls, they are located like with, will be the marketing director of my team. But at the end, they became engineers and they started a real career in Formula One. So this is a kind of example that we can find as a best practice in this. But also what I can say is that, because the question was around, what are the best practices for encouraging more girls into engineering? I come back to what Philippe said, and this is where we started really at the International Federation of Motorsport, was when I was a development director and in charge of the social responsibilities program. We started with role model. We started by creating inspiration in each field. We had like a woman driver as one of the ambassador. We had one of the engineer, one mechanic, one volunteers. And this is how you can really spread the messages and just like encouraging more girls to come. So we use this as the first initiative for starting really the women's program. And then when I moved to the STEM Racing Challenge, we opened really more doors, like having a special award like a woman in motorsport trophy, just to reward one of the best women engineering in the program. We also have some mentoring opportunities. We have internship. We create some internship program with the manufacturers. So most of them, they can apply for being in the Formula One academies, for example. So this is also, I think, a very good, very interesting example of how we work to promote more girls into engineering. And we really encourage mixity. When a team just like registers for taking part to the challenge, then we always ask, okay, you are six boys, but do you have any girls around you just that would like to join you, you know? And then it's create a kind of just amazing energy, how they work all together for designing, manufacture their Formula One cars, and finally having the cars on the track, racing, and and being with the goal to be in the top of the world and to be in the podium, and so it gives you like a really concrete and fun environment, and giving you access to the STEM future careers.
Thank you. And it sounds really amazing. I think for students, it's a lifetime experience that they can have.
Yeah.
Let's continue further with Philip. I have a slide to share. So, Phil, would you like to say a few words about the best practices? Yes.
So I'm going to nick a bit of Frédérique's presentation skills there, because you've done exactly what we've done, which is you've sort of taken what could be quite a tough subject to get young people to understand and turn it into a competition. And that's what we did. We sat down early doors with the curriculum managers at two of the university technical colleges that we work with and said, look, I've got this challenge. I would love to get students across different colleges to compete against each other as a national competition. And what we did was we trialed something a bit higher up in HE with Synchro, which is Susie's on the call, won't mind me saying Bentley software out loud. So with Bentley, we work with HE learners to try and find out if they had the skills to be able to pull together a Synchro presentation, which one of the learners did, put it onto their LinkedIn profile, and Julia was offered a job. So that made me think, actually, what could we do at level 3? So level 3 being a step down from HE, a bit of a stretch, but I thought actually we'll use our design a building challenge, where we went out into the community to local charities to engage with them and say, would you like us to set a competition up based on you having a new visitor centre, for example, at a museum of historic buildings? And then we called in Susie and said, actually, Susie, we'd like to extend this so that they could actually model up their presentation in 4D, so that it actually starts from the start, finishes, but it shows it being animated. And what we did then was we rapidly found out that a lot more girls are interested in architecture than ever, I thought, which was great. So that meant that we could tick a lot of the boxes for the aspirations of young women in construction. And then I thought, well, actually, we don't have a lot of that opportunity on our building sites when we have students on placement. So I've now engaged with the likes of BDP Architecture in Birmingham. So if we've got a young learner on site, say Nana, for example, who was with us from Thomas Telford in Wolverhampton, she's been learning all about architecture as part of her course. She's come to a site which is probably one of the greenest, most sustainable projects that we've got in the Midlands. And then I said to the architect, would you mind hosting Nana so that she can take that love of architecture on a bit more, so she can come and spend some time with you, but can also come back to site and pick up her challenge. So we've created shared placements to try and find the ultimate job experience whilst being on placement with us for 2 years, and then supporting Nana with her application to become a trainee architect or an architect in the apprenticeship field. So we've tried to do that with a lot of young people post 16. So as you can see on the slide there, we've got examples of young people that have come to experience working on our BAM work placement program, whether that's through T-levels or through HE, including a number of young women you can see there who are now BAM apprentices. There's no coincidence I picked the slides with the most outcomes from our projects. But also Julia's on the bottom row, second in from the left. Julia was studying full-time at university. And I sort of broke the mold a little bit and said, well, if you'd like to come and spend a couple of days on site with our design manager, would that help you with your degree? So she did, and then she did so well that actually the application process for her to come and join BAM as an assistant design manager was pretty straightforward. But I also changed her course because of the nature of what she was studying at university was all interiors, to actually being a design manager where you have to consider not just the interior, but obviously what the building looks on the outside and whether it all works. But again, lots of role models in there. We've got Claire, who was an ex-bricklayer, who's a site manager, and Neve, one of our apprentices, who hosted a young person who wasn't sure what they wanted to do in their career. Pointless me trying to say this is what the job is. I would much rather place you with somebody who can show you what that job is. And from a girl's perspective, what that difference is now compared to what it was like historically in our industry, as male dominated as it was. I think that is now obviously starting to shift. And now we're looking to develop with Bentley a follow-on project, which takes us a little bit international, where we're actually going to task some students with designing the airport of the future with one of our clients. So we're now going from being a charity to a charity that's owned by a client who then owns 3 airports in the UK, where I can now hopefully start with East Midlands Airport, move up to Manchester Airport and down to Stansted Airport, where my colleagues can use the same process that I'm setting up to be able to repeat what we're doing in the Midlands, but elsewhere across the country, and hopefully back into Holland, where we're based, and pick up the work that we're doing in airports in Holland. So again, trying to create that competition that inspires people to want to do something differently is what I'm all about. And then the big picture there is a result of Mia doing a careers event where she convinced the young lady that she wanted to come and spend a bit of time on site, on Mia's site, and work with Tom, our engineer, so that she could see what total station work involved, shooting lasers at targets, that kind of thing. So again, I think there's a huge opportunity for women to come into that field as well.
Thank you, Phil. And we move forward to Nayane. Yeah, you also have a slide. So yeah.
Yes. So at Ansys, we've established some best practice to inspire and attract girls to consider engineer as a career. And I have the opportunity to participate in 3 programs. The first one is called Try and Engineer Together, where we introduce real-world challenges that allow girls to engage with engineering concepts in a fun and a practical way. And they can experience problem solving firsthand, making this field more accessible and exciting. The second one program I had the opportunity to participate is called Girls Who Code. And this program provides opportunities to explore a bunch of topics related to computer science, as I am a software engineer at Ansys, and I could talk about cloud sustainability last year. And through this mentorship and real-world applications, girls gain a deeper understanding of the impact they can have through technology. And the first one is F1 in schools, now called also STEM Racing. And I had the opportunity to participate as a judge last year in Saudi Arabia for the World Finals, and this year for the French Nationals. And I had the chance to offer constructive feedbacks to young innovators. This is not only fosters their growth, but also encourages creativity and critical thinking. And I think that is essential skills for future engineers. And I believe that these initiatives are helping to bridge the gender gap in STEM. And also we can empower girls to see themselves as the engineers and innovators of tomorrow.
Thank you, Nayane. And let's move forward to the last question for our panelists. So it's about shaping the future of engineering. And in your opinion, how do you see industry and academia working together to contribute to students' motivation to pursue engineering? And I will start with you again, Frédérique.
Yeah,
so,
thank you. Yeah, I think that just like combining to combine the theory with the practical world, really it's essential. Like in Formula One or in motorsport environment, like, okay, you can study the engineering part, but you need to have the kind of really concrete experience, and that's why now more and more academy, you can see that, like Formula One, the McLaren, the Mercedes Academy, and the name Academy comes everywhere in the motorsports and automobile industry. And really, I think that in terms of in terms of collaborative research projects, both of them, they can bring really just like really things important together and having a very good impact. You know, that's the most important thing. And then in terms of internship, work placements as well, when you learn like in a very high level engineering schools, and you have the chance to reach and to have a good opportunity, a placement opportunity in the industry, you really break the barriers, and you can accelerate the process. And like it's exactly what we did at the last French national finals that we just had on the 8 and 9 in March in Le Castellet in the Formula One circuit. Ansys, as one of our partners, they offer the mentoring experience, like 1 day of immersion for our girls, all girls participating to the challenge. So they will have the chance to spend 1 day in Ansys, at the Ansys office, really to connect the two worlds together. Because when the kids and the participants design their car and work on the aerodynamic of the cars, and they use the software, the Ansys software, then they can really just go into their office, seeing how they work, spending the day with them. And I think this is really how we can impact, having those very well connected, how we can impact the future, and especially in the STEM environment.
Thank you. And we will get the second answer from Mia Duffield. So Mia, can you please introduce yourself, and then you can actually provide an answer as well on how do you see the industry and academia working together?
So I'm Mia. I'm a apprentice construction management at BAM Construction UK. With industry and academia working together, especially with work placements, as well as being, I did the T-level, having the ability to work on site, as well as having the academics working alongside it, I think is quite a beneficial thing to look into. Having experience on site to then work with colleges, universities to understand the application, making it more in-depth knowledge. It gives, especially with work experience, which is I know a lot of companies work for, giving the opportunity to have the knowledge, to get the experience, to understand if this route is right for them, and getting the experience to see what is out there as well.
Thank you, Mia. And the last answer, I'll give the microphone to Nayane. So,
yes. In my opinion, collaborative programs are very essential. By aligning theoretical knowledge with industry needs, those programs, as we talked about, such as Girls Who Code or F1 in schools, ensure that students develop the skills required in the real world. And this makes their learning experience more relevant and engaging. The second one, I think it's mentorship and internships are very important as well. Providing mentorship and real-world exposure through internships bridges the gap between classroom learning and practical applications. So students get to see how their knowledge translates into solving real challenges. And the third one, in my opinion, is sponsorship of competitions, such as F1 in schools, because we can inspire innovation by encouraging students to apply their skills in a competitive and creative environment. So when industry and academia collaborate, in my opinion, they create a powerful ecosystem that nurtures future engineers and innovators.
That's a very strong sentence, the last one. I'm just trying to write it down. that's a powerful ecosystem, exactly as you said it. So this is the ending of our first part when it comes to introducing the panelists and asking some questions. I have created my own word cloud that I would like to use as a summary for the answers that we received. So from the panelists, we have actually heard that it's important that we actually encourage girls to dare. This is one of my favorite words that I have heard. It's important to have a mixing environment, so we have both a female and male participation in competitions to create visibility for role models. And I heard from Phil that government also it's important. So we have some, I have it here. It's a T-level qualification that can actually influence how girls can participate further and can pursue their career in STEM education. Then I think it was Nayane, you said that constructive feedback actually encourage creativity. And then I have from you, Frédérique, you said you discussed about soft skills development, which is also important for not just the hard skills, but also soft skills are important when it comes to exposing our students to the real world. It's important to create a portfolio to place actually students in different roles, the female students. So you said how they actually engaged into a communication manager and then they actually became the engineer of their project. And I also liked that was discussed by all three of you that how the challenge and the subject can be turned into a competition. And this is also motivating for girls to join in STEM. And of course, the collaborative research programs. And the last one was from Nayane, that she said that both academia and industry creates a learning environment, an ecosystem that actually nurtures and creates a safe space for students to grow. So thank you all for your input. I have a lot of things written, but unfortunately I cannot read my own handwriting. So this is the highlight of all. So I think we can actually proceed now to the part that we have the open discussion. We have created some questions as well for the audience, but maybe it's better to hear your own opinion. So I will give the word to Sofie and Anja. So do we have a question from the chat? So please feel free to raise your hands. Of course, you can already have your question in the chat. And if you agree, you can also use the icon of thumbs up. So Sofie, is there a question from the chat?
Yes, there are a few questions. The first one we received was from Ahmad Ayub about the perception of engineering, about engineering work or being an engineer, which is actually not always the same. But maybe Ahmad Ayub, would you like to pose your question yourself?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me well, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, perfectly.
Right, so when I was doing an outreach program at schools in Scotland, so oftentimes I came across school pupils and as well as university students, not university students, a public, shall I say, parents and all that, and they keep asking, so if you were to do engineering, so where do we go, and so on. So because I'm from university, I just advise you, so what sort of engineering you like? Is it triple E for electrical engineering or mechanical and so on? Or they said, we would like to send our son to do the electricians or the plumbings and all that. So I have no problem with that. But they quite, I can see the vibes that they're quite confused in terms of why, what's the difference between the electrical engineering at uni and as well as electrician at SVQ level, like vocational qualification level. So then I came across that. So that I thought, right, so what does professional engineering institution do in terms of this? It appears that they're not being explicit in terms of, right, the term engineer used by this industry is, they not protect those terms. So, for example, those who work in power system, they have to get a university degree qualification before they can actually work as a graduate schemes and all that, before they can become junior engineer, senior engineer, and so on. But the same terms used for the plumbers, for the broadband installers, for the electricians and all that. Well, when I spoke to my colleagues from other countries, they immediately say, right, for those who at vocational level, they will call them as a technicians, but for those who have a university level, will have to be called engineers. So they have a distinction in terms of that. So then I, searched a bit more in terms of this. Then I came across, like, if it's for solicitor, for example, they have to get a law degree before they can actually apply and become a solicitor, a lawyer, and whatnot. And similarly, it goes to medical doctor and as well accountant. So when we were trying to attract not just girls but other into engineering, so we have to do this kind of a preempt information so that they understand the difference between the two. So in terms of where we are today, so what should we do in terms of this? Should we then just go along with the terms that are being used across by the industry, or we just need to be upfront, like, look, that's different, this is different? So what's your opinion in terms of this?
Ahmad, your question is specifically for one of our panelists, or you have an open question?
It's an open question. Yeah, any panelist can answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Phil, wants to. Phil, you have,
Yeah, that's actually quite a valid question. And I say this because I was lucky enough to go over to Austria with the firm to look at the HTCs before the UTCs were set up here in Britain. And what I found was that I preferred the European term engineer as that professional person that comes out of a HTC as an engineer. But then we couldn't align that, like you said, we couldn't align that in the UK. So Mia, for example, is currently doing a level 4 program, which is foundation degree in the UK. And after 2 years of doing her part-time level 4 qualification, will then become hopefully an assistant construction manager. So that's the difference in terms of you're an apprentice, but you're still going to be an apprentice throughout your 5-year training period. But the step up from a level 3 to a level 4 qualification is an apprentice to an assistant, and then on completion of the level 6, that then becomes a site manager in Mia's case, or design manager if she wants to go down that route. So it is a valid question, because I think everybody's got their own perception of what that qualification and what that level is. All I can tell you from BAM's perspective is that's the way that we look at it. But I did value the time I spent in Austria listening to the difference in the way the curriculum's delivered and how that currency of being I think they say engineer, gave that person a certain amount of status within that particular level of training.
Thank you, Phil, for the answer. So I just want to add on to that. For example, in my opinion, one can do engineering work, but not many can do an engineer's work. For example, we have here as a panel as well, R&D engineer 2 at Ansys, Nayane, De Silva Fernandes. So I'm sure Nayane will have to go through university qualifications to be able to work at Ansys. I don't think, forgive me if I'm wrong on this, I don't think there'll be apprentice to do that before they can be, because she can become an R&D engineer. Am I right to say that, Nayane?
So I have a master's degree in electronics, so that's what allowed me to join this job as an R&D engineer.
Yeah, so that's the point I was trying to make. You also be called an engineer by going through the university qualifications, but in the UK they also call the SVQ qualification for plumbers, for electricians, also be called as an engineer as well. So there's a bit of terms being used for both. I have nothing against the usage of the term, but it creates a confusion with the public as we were to pitch to them, like, come to do engineering with us. But from their point of view, they will see SVQ rather than R&D engineer at Ansys, for example. Because it's quite hard for them to see them in action, to be honest with you. So again, thank you, Phil, for the answer, and so for Nayane. So I think it's probably for the future discussion on this, that would then we can rope in professional engineering institutions to then say, look, we need to start to distinguish this, so that we then similar in other professions like solicitors, medical doctors, accountancy, and all that.
Yeah, if I may. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Just one remark, and I think maybe it's very French ecosystem, but the term engineer is really like, it's very elitist in France. So I think maybe just like how it's the practice in UK, and maybe Philippe you can confirm, but it's what I understood from what you just said, is that you can have a mix of different kind of workers with the name of engineer. But the question is like, do you think it's better for democratize the STEM environment, the STEM works, having more, because the people can claim, I'm engineer, but maybe in France there will be only mechanics, or you see what I mean? So sometimes they will be proud to say I'm engineer, and maybe that's also a way to attract the youth, and having more young kids, just like give some motivation to go through the STEM environment. But this is really different from one country to another in Europe as well. So you have the experts, but I think it's interesting, because then when we want to open completely the borders, and we have this European community of in STEM, what do? You have the engineer master degree, so that's the top, and then if you want to apply in another country, you see, so that's also a question of how it works globally speaking.
Thank you, Freda. Thank you for the answers. Very, very insightful answers. So I think there's some comment as well in the chat saying that this is UK-centric issue. I believe so. It is UK-centric issue, because when I spoke to my colleagues in other parts of the world, in China, Singapore, Malaysia, they have this very distinguished line between the technicians, mechanics, and all that, when with the university qualified engineer.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes,
yeah.
It is really context dependent. It's also about the nature of engineering. What is engineering? A topic that our other co-chair of the SIG, Hannah de Pre, is working on. So maybe it can be also focus of future actions of our SIG. What is engineering and how is it received? Thank you. Looking to some other questions and comments, let me zoom in on maybe Natalie Wind. If you want to take the floor, you were interested in a comment made about engaging parents and the challenges. Would you like to pose your question?
Yeah, I haven't really got more to add than what I put. I think I'm just quite interested in understanding the experiences you alluded to about engaging with parents. I think from my own experience and seeing people, like, parents are obviously a really important part. And even though my father's an engineer, I don't think that necessarily supported me in going down that route. So I'd be interested to hear about your experience with engaging with parents.
Phil? Yeah, would you like to give the floor? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, we were lucky enough to be asked by the Gatsby Charitable Foundation here in the UK to produce some resources involving parents of students who we got on placement. And I think that is the best way of trying to engage with the parents, is by engaging with the parents of the students that you're working with. Other ways of engaging parents, actually on Mia's site next Tuesday, we've got 12 careers leads from local schools who are going to come and find out about what's happening in construction now. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest and say a lot of that time is going to be Mia's time, explaining how she came into the role that she did through the training that she chose, because I'm 55 and I'm too old for all of that now. You need to hear it from the person who's on the floor, who's actually doing the job out there. I just make it happen. So in that case, I think that would be good again for the careers leads to go back, and then we'll probably end up going to a whole load of careers events, which I've got no doubt that that's what will happen after next Tuesday. And then we'll be able to speak to the parents that we're hopefully going to be trying to convince their younger daughters to come into engineering, and we'll hopefully have invited Mia along to that as well, along with Neve and our other trainees, to say this is what the job is. Over to you guys.
Shabir, you had your hand up. Do you also want to add to this, or maybe you had another comment?
I actually had another question. Should I go ahead?
You can go.
Okay. So my question was related to something a bit more low threshold, in the sense that consider the situation that you are a service professional in a university, and you notice that there is a very kind of long-term problem of women not being attracted to taking up programs in mechanical engineering, for example. What could be some low threshold actions that a person who is in the service side of things could do to kind of, or organize or set up to kind of push women to come in here? Or because I see a lot of really good examples that seem like very widely done and very a lot of collaboration with multiple organizations and things like that, and which are great, and those should happen, but those happen on a different scale and a different level as to what like individual service professionals or academic workers in a university could do. I was hoping if I could get some, I don't know, best practices in that sense, or thoughts or comments, really.
Do you mind sharing the question again, Shabir? Yeah. Yeah.
I think I would be looking for best practices, thoughts, and actions that a service professional in an academic setting, such as a university, could implement to enhance the attractiveness of engineering programs, really, and specifically mechanical engineering, or something very technical, machine related, to which somehow women have not been applying to. Low threshold options. And to give you also context, I would say that when we compare intake in chemical engineering and electrical engineering, it's very context based, of course. We see that, or architecture, we see that women were allowed to study chemical engineering and architecture 100 years ago, way before they were other streams of engineering. So we see that that's the reason, or that could be a reason why more women end up in those areas. But these are very high level topics. And as a service professional myself, I would like to know what we could do, low threshold actions where we could.
Phil?
Phil, yeah.
I think we've already seen something like that. I mean, I'll be brutally honest. I screen grabbed that slide about girls in engineering on the 20th of April or whenever it was, and I'm going to borrow that and send that to colleagues over in Holland about it. Because I think that's the kind of thing. But I don't think you can solve this problem overnight. And I say that because I think you've almost got to go to, my mantra of careers is, in this country, year 8 is too late to make up your mind what you want to do. You've got to try and hit careers education at that level around the 12 and 13 years of age kind of thing, because I think waiting until they're 14 to decide their options about what they study is too late. So I think having a fun interactive challenge and then saying, oh, by the way, you've just done mechanical engineering, is the way to do it. Learn by stealth almost, or learn by accident, as I like to call it. And I think this could be a couple of years in the making. So I think you've got to start early, put those seeds of, this is a fantastic career, by the way. Look at the kind of money you could be earning, but also look at the different fields. You haven't got to just think construction. You could be thinking, other forms of mechanical engineering. And I've got the same issue, actually. I've got T-level learners that Mia's encouraged to come and work with us. We started with Mia. We're now on 6 learners from the same college because they've all followed Mia, studying engineering. So I've made sure they're on a site that's got a swimming pool in it to learn about the mechanics around how you filter pool water and how you generate the heat to keep the water warm, so that I can still fit in with their qualification, but also give them that additional knowledge of, it's not just pools, it's also about mechanical venting and heating hot water and all that kind of thing. So I think you've got to start quite early, and I think you've got to make it fun, interactive, and lots of Lego.
So what I'm hearing is that these things are better done at the school level rather than the university level, right? Okay. Yeah, that's
I'd say school age, but definitely at the university. So I would bring in your school age students and give them an interactive challenge with an employer. Rope an employer in who's looking to increase their apprenticeships and trainees within their business. Don't work alone. Work in collaboration with industry to encourage those young people to consider that career, not knowing what it is until the very end. So I wouldn't even sneak out what the job titles are until the very end.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Phil. That was very insightful.
Kate, based on your work, you probably have very interesting additional comments on that. Kate Bellingham?
Hello, yeah. My current PhD is looking at underrepresentation of women in engineering, particularly at undergraduate level, and looking at the variation between different universities in the UK. And as Shabir has said, yes, mechanical is one of those that not just at a national level, but at an individual university level often has the lowest percentage of women. One of the things that's come out of looking both at data and talking to students is that there is a substantial differentiation between different, I'll call them types of university. The percentages are much higher at the universities with higher entry requirements. Obviously, this is something particularly to do with the way the UK system works, might be different in other European countries. I'm very interested in the work that the SIG is currently doing, looking at what works in terms of outreach, but particularly in terms of universities. There's an interesting story to look up. It's not about mechanical engineering, but it's about computer science, looking at what Sue Black did at University of Durham to increase the number of women going on taking up computer science at Durham University. I mean, it's obviously very difficult to tell that the actions were directly what caused the increase, but I can remember a few of them. It was this was assuming that there were women who were already interested. It was how to get them to choose that subject at that university. And it was less about outreach, which is what I'd expected. And it was more about what the experience was going to be when you were studying that subject. So, for example, there was, if you were coming in with, and you hadn't been coding since the age of 4, there was a separate strand that was support for you if you were coming in with different background experiences. There was the opportunity to go to conferences right from the first year to meet other people who are doing things, particularly females. Shabir, if you'd like, I'd be happy to share with you it's a bit of my lit review, actually. And I will be sharing, obviously, with the SEFI SIG further down the line when I've got further with my PhD.
Okay, thank you.
That would be really nice. I would really like to connect as well. I will find you.
I'm at UCL's Centre for Engineering Education.
Thank you.
I was proposing, but it's easy. She's just leaving to the question of Marin, actually, whether it's also linked to the perception of skills required to succeed in engineering and also in the different fields. And it may align to something I think Phil has mentioned about the sub-skills set that you need and perception on the competences required for engineering. Might be something in it as well, but Marin just left the conversation, so I don't know, Georgia, would you?
Yeah, I wanted to say something about the best practices, and I am a math lecturer at the university, and we recently created a community of learners. It's actually a local community from high school teachers, university teachers, and we also aim to have some kind of a mentoring program for high school students with university students. What I have seen is that in every transition, not just from high school to university, but also from kindergarten to primary school, from primary school to high school. So in every transition, there is a space to actually encourage STEM education. So I think when you actually discuss high schools, it might be too late for them. So it has to be integrated into kindergarten, because at the age of 14 or 15, kids are already developing their own character. So if they were never exposed to STEM education, because then you have other issues that are actually concerning students. So it's about the status, it's about the respect, it's about the trends. So if there is no current trend in STEM education, there will be no interest for them. So in my experience, the best practices is to actually create this link between this different transition of students, and to also create small groups. So this is the essence, because then you will have space, and they needed time to actually address and make everyone feel safe, and just take care of the students that you have. So for best practices, what I will say is that communities, small communities, and then mentoring as well. It's not just mentoring between teacher and a student, but also between student and student. Yeah. So I think, we can proceed to the other question as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, George. Those were really nice comments. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Starting early is important. I would like to jump to the other side and when careers, and I pick out a comment of Sofia, who asked us the questions: have we considered how industries appear to outsiders, and not only engineering but also the industries? Sofia, would you like to say a little bit more about your question?
Yes. Hold on a second. Okay, you can see me. Hello. Yes, my question was essentially inspired by some of the things that we saw today. So some of these initiatives, like Formula One, for example, motorsports, may not appeal, they have a certain image. They may not appeal to women, but do we have anything, most initiatives that I tend to see tend to reinforce in a way some of the stereotypes of engineering, and we don't see that much many of them relating to real life experiences of young women. Another thing is, how would you convince a young woman to work in engineering if it involves, for example, working outdoors like you would do in construction, or working somewhere outside of a city center and things like that? So there are many perceptions of engineering that probably still persist. And I can understand why some parents may be concerned about some of these things. So yeah, I was wondering what the industry can do and what initiatives we can do, how initiatives can focus on areas that might be more appealing to someone who's young, a wider audience anyway, for someone who's young.
Yes, Frédérique?
Yeah, thank you. I think something very important is to create a fun and exciting environment. I think it's especially true for the new generation, because if they find this kind of fun and exciting environment, and this is what we do, what we intend to do, and through the STEM racing, is that to bring them in an environment where they will learn STEM, they will learn different kind of they will work on the technical aspects of the car. But what is very true with this kind of challenge, Formula One is the excuse, because that's the most exposed category of motorsports. But this is the car that is used as the object. It means that when you design a concrete object like a car, it can be like a racing car, it can be like an automobile, but every little kids or single person in the world will touch a car in one day in his life. You see what I mean? So that's how it's just like bring the sciences, the mathematics in the concrete and fun and exciting field and subject.
Okay, Phil, would you briefly add?
Yeah.
Seeing the time, because we are shortly wrapping up.
So essentially, you set somebody a problem, you use technology to solve it, you make it fun and interactive along the way, and you involve companies like Bentley who have got the software out there to be able to train people in their colleges and universities of how to support learners in a nutshell.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. There were some other interesting comments also in the chat, but that's in the time we have to conclude. But in any case, I want to point out very briefly two things in the chat. One of Thomas, who mentioned, yes, everything we do to increase the interest for girls is also working for boys often, and we need both. And then going on the comment of Olivier, who pointed out that we need more engineers, so we need them both. So it was also good additional comments here. Georgia, I leave it to you to wrap up this interesting conversation and discussion.
Thank you, Sofie. So we have 3 questions that we created, but I think we actually got relevant questions in the chat, so I'm going to skip them. So just to sum up, what we have, let's say, discussed today, it's about taking small steps so that we can actually create an equitable and diverse engineering community. So yes, both female and male students are important in engineering, and create a future and a learning environment that empower girls to grow into confident women that actually believe in their potential, explore new horizons, inspire others in their journey, and achieve their dreams. So it's not actually a question. So girls in STEM, of course, girls in STEM. So thank you all for your participation. Thank you, Frédérique, Phil, Nayane, and Mia, for your participation. Thank you for your time. And we are looking forward to seeing you in future webinars of our special group. Enjoy the weekend and keep inspiring others. Thank you.